Hi guys, my name is Ivo and I'm from mytestedasp.net. Originally, I wanted to create a new video about app domains and how you can isolate code with app domains, but then I decided that if you're not familiar with app domains at all, it will be always better to know first what are processes in the operational system and how you can manipulate them with your C# code because app domains live in processes. So let's open the task manager with Control Alt and Del. And we can see here that currently on my machine, on my operational system, which is Windows 10 apparently, um, we have a lot of processes running. We have quite a lot of background processes, for example, ASUS Republic of Gamers software, which is installed on this notebook, some Blizzard Battle.net app, Blizzard Update Agent, some calculator, Discord servers, and so on and so on. Apparently Google Chrome, and actually quite a lot of processes are currently running on my operational system. A single process is actually a piece of software which is running currently and is fighting for resources on the operational system. And depending on the priority, on the code, and some other factors, the Windows operational system decides on which process to give, for example, a little bit of CPU, on which process to give, for example, more memory, and so on and so on. And we can see which process, how much memory is using. For example, currently Google Chrome is using 500 megabytes of memory. Visual Studio is using both Visual Studios which are running here are using more than 1 gigabyte of memory and so on. It's interesting that from a process you can create child processes. For example, Chrome currently is using 9 child processes, which each separately is using different kinds and different values of RAM, of disk, of CPUs, and so on. Visual Studio is using 13 processes. It's using a process for the MS Build command line tool. It uses a process for the project I'm currently using, and I'm going to show you in a minute. And apparently it's using some other process here. And if we take a look, we can see that every process has different processes which are created within it. And these are child processes. So when you create a console application in the C# language and run it, you are apparently running a process in the command line interface. But from your console application, you can run child processes and you can collect their information. We will see that in a minute. Okay, let's go to Visual Studio and see what we can do about this process. That's pretty much everything you need to know. A process is a unit in the operational system which has certain memory and certain resource usage, CPU, disk, and so on, and the operational system decides on which process how much power to give, what kind of priority to give. Okay, great. I'm going to close that now and I'm going to open Visual Studio. So I've created a simple .NET Core console application and I have in System Diagnostics a process class. This process class allows me to manipulate and create processes which are running on this machine. For example, what I can do is I can say get process by name. And if I provide the process name, for example, Chrome, I can see uh, how much processes Chrome is using. How to find the name of the process is you need to open your task manager, and then you need to hit right click on some of the processes and hit properties, and you will see exactly what application runs this process. And if you see Chrome here, then you can call the process by the name Chrome. That's the whole idea. Okay, back to Visual Studio. If I say, let's see how much processes currently I am using, I can see that currently Chrome is using 16 processes. What I can do is I can manipulate this process, and I can say, okay, what I want to do now is I want to, for example, queue each process. And I can even say queue and the entire process tree, which means all the processes related to this process will be queued. So if Chrome starts child process, they will be also queued. Okay, but I'm not going to queue Chrome because we are going to open it in a minute. The most important part here is that the process is the class we need in order to access some process information. Console write one process dot. Let's find something interesting. Private memory size gets the amount of memory which the process is using in bytes. So let's make it in kilobytes and then in megabytes, like this. And I can see that the current Chrome process, one of them is using 280, one of them is using 2 megabytes, and so on. I can see how much memory each process is using, and I can decide to kill all the processes which are using more than 200 memory, for example, and so on. I have that information here. Cool. Let's now see how we can create a process. To create a process, first I'm going to add a file, which is a normal text file, sample.txt. And now I'm going to create and open that file in a new Notepad process. I'm going to maximize it, so I'm going to give some sort of options how to open the new process. Then I'm going to wait for it 2 seconds or 3 seconds, and I'm going to kill it. So first I would need to have that copied to the output directory. Then I'm going to open the folder in which this process is. Actually, I won't need that. Okay, you have another class. Let me show you what I meant by the folder in a minute. We have another class which is process start info, which is new process start info. And here I can say file name. I would like to open a file. And when I start the process, the Windows will try to open the file with the default program associated with this file extension. For example, with txt on this machine, it will open Notepad. So if I say, okay, open sample.txt, which should be copied on build, Initially I thought that I will need the full path, but I won't need it. Then I can say and provide additional options here. For example, create no window will not create a window. Will open silently the text file. Also, I can set a password if the file has a password. I can redirect the input and the output. We will see that in a minute. How I will open a child process, which will be another console app. Then I'm going to read all the information from the console app, and I'm going to print it in my current program, which is the parent process. Okay, so I have some options here. For example, I can say I want to have maximized notepad here. I want the window which will open this file to be maximized. Then what we need to do is we need to say using var process equals process.start, and I can provide the process start info here like this. Then I can do whatever I like. I can do, for example, thread.sleep. Let's sleep 3 seconds after we open the file, and then I can say process.kill. I'm going to use the no coalescing operator just in case. Okay, so this code should be pretty straightforward and should be easy for everyone to understand. We create a new process and we start this file. We start it maximized. This is the information we want to pass, and then we start the process in a using statement. Then we wait 3 seconds and kill it. And when I run the app, the specified executable is not valid for this OS platform. I have some issues here, and the problem is that I'm using .NET Core actually, and I'm using Windows as an operational system. So let's fix that. It's kind of bad that it showed in my video, but actually if you decide to play around with processes, you will know why it's not working on your machine. You will need to create .NET Framework console app and not .NET Core, because we're apparently using Windows processes. So I'm going to add process manipulation C#. The thing is that some of the APIs are ported to the .NET Core, which support both Windows and Linux, but in some situations the APIs are here. You can compile the code, but it will not work on .NET Core. The same situation is with the app domains I'm willing to show you in my next video. Okay, so let's copy this. Copy if newer, cool. Then I will just get this code here. I'm going to remove that. I'm going to write public here, and I'm going to write public here because I'm using .NET Framework with an older version. I will need to fix the using here like this. And okay, that should be okay. I'm going to set this project as a startup project, and I'm going to delete the .NET Core 1. Let's run it again and see that it's working. the notepad is maximized, and after 3 seconds, the process is queued because that's our logic. So apparently what's happening here is I'm starting a process which is my whole application. This process starts a child process which opens the notepad and opens this file. It opens it some with some options. For example, I can provide some options to the notepad and so on. And what I do is start it, wait 3 seconds and kill it. Okay, the next thing we are going to do is we're going to create and open a third-party console application. We're going to load it in a child process. We're going to redirect its output, and then we're going to read that output and print it on our console. That's the idea. But first, I'm going to show you where all this code is, uh, where you can find all this code here. And that's, we need to go to the browser. We need to go to GitHub. In my pro, which is Ivailo Kenov. You may follow me if you like. Hit repositories. Then write down TV here. And that's the project in which I'm uploading all the source codes I'm using in my video lessons. You can find all the lessons here. They are listed, all their source code or their videos. You can download it, you can play with it, you can do whatever you like. It's available here. I will appreciate if you give the project a star. You may also watch it if you like, because usually I upload the code and link the video here before I make it public on YouTube, so you're going to learn about the videos in advance. I'm going to use the moment to thank my sponsors, which are Bellatrix, Resharper, Softuni, Smart IT, Nobohar, and 1Bit Software. Thank you guys, you truly rock, and I'm completely thankful for your support. You motivate me to continue working on this channel and my open source tools, my tested ASP.NET. Thank you. Let's return to Visual Studio and continue our work. Okay, first we're going to need a new console application. So let's create one. Let's create a console app on the .NET framework. I'm going to name it just like that, console app, and I'm going to just print something on the standard output, which is on the console. Like this. Okay, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to say start info equals new process start info. Then I'm going to need a file name. The file name should be a direct, should be the path to the file I want to run. And I'm going to specify the path to the console app I'm going to build here. Its location is available on this path on bin debug console app.exe. This is the path I'm going to need. So let's paste it and let's say console app.exe. Then what I need to specify is I need to say redirect standard output to true. So everything which this console is printing should be redirected to this process, which I'm going to use here, and there's another option, and that's to say that we don't want to use the default operating system shell to start the process. We want to start it as is. Okay, then I'm going to say using var process equals process.start. I'm going to give the start info, and then what I can do is I can say, okay, let's get the standard output of that process, and I can start reading it. Start child process. Then I'm going to say console write line reader.read to end, like this. And when I run it, we can see that we start the child process. The child process redirects its output, which is test console and second test console, and then we return to our main process. So apparently you can run different processes in your main application and you can get their output. I have used this in one judge system in which students can upload their source code. The source code should be built using MS Build, and then the output of that console application which is built should be extracted, and it should be uh, compared to some sort of tests. So the user uploads a code, we run it in a separate process, then we get the standard output of that process and read it to end. And this way we can create a small judge system. So it's a cool trick to know that you can manipulate processes from C#. And now that we know processes and know how to use them with our code, the next video will be about app domains, which is the same thing as the process, but it lives in the process itself. So it allows you to have separated uh, assemblies throughout the process. We will see it in my next video. Thank you for being with me. If you like this video, hit the like button and leave a comment below about anything related with C#. Let me know if you knew about processes before. And before I stop the recording, I would like to show you my tools. If we go to my GitHub profile, I create open source libraries for ASP.NET and ASP.NET Core. They're about testing, unit and integration testing, and essentially they allow you to create very easy, readable, and fluent assertions of your web applications components like controllers, like models, like services, and so on. If you're using ASP.NET Core, take a look at these projects. They may turn out to be useful to you. Thank you very much for the attention, and remember, you can always consider become a Patreon or backer on Open Collective. I will appreciate it. Thank you and bye.